Hello, my friend, and welcome to Wisdom Trek. I am Guthrie Chamberlain, your guide to wisdom and creating a living legacy. Thank you for joining us for our 5-day-per-week Wisdom and Legacy Building podcast. This is day 466 of our trek, and today is Wisdom Wednesday. Every Wednesday along life's trail, we will dig for the nuggets of wisdom that are found in the book of Proverbs. Today, we will explore the first half of chapter 22. We are broadcasting from our studio at the Big House at Marietta, Ohio. This past weekend was very productive. We were able to make a pass of the entire lawn to clean up the leaves that have fallen so far. Most of the leaves have not fallen yet, but I still had 8 loads that I gathered up, and each load contains about 450 gallons of leaves. Paula also gathered many loads of branches from a large limb that fell out of a tree on my brother's property in a storm last week. Inside the house, we unpacked several more boxes and set up the parlor with furniture. Taking care of the family homestead does require a lot of work and part of a much larger legacy that we are creating and living each day. We certainly enjoy thinking about, planning, and accomplishing our dreams. What we think about and focus our time on is what we become. While most of us have heard the axiom, you are what you eat, I believe a more true one is, you are what you think. What you think about becomes your actions, and your actions become who you really are. It is part of your reputation. As we break camp for our trek today, let's explore the nuggets of wisdom found in the first half of Proverbs chapter 22, where we will learn to choose a good reputation over great riches. Let's start with verse 1, which is the title for today's lesson. Verse 1 says, "Choose a good reputation over great riches, being held in high esteem, better than silver or gold." There is no amount of money that can purchase a good reputation. Solomon's wise advice instructs us to choose a good reputation and high esteem over any amount of riches. It is truly better than unlimited silver and gold. What would you prefer? It is evident today, as it has been throughout history, that many would choose riches instead of reputation. Verse number 2. The rich and the poor have this in common: the Lord made them both. Just as we come into this world naked and helpless, we leave in the same way. It is important to realize that during the in-between years, regardless of whether you're rich or poor, we have all been created in God's image. We should love each other unconditionally, regardless of economic status. Verse number 3. A prudent person foresees danger and takes precaution. The simpleton goes blindly on and suffers the consequences. To be wise and prudent means that you make wise choices in life. It is the ability to anticipate the consequences of your choices and decide the best path to take. Otherwise, you are a simple person, or it may be said, an unwise person. A simple person makes decisions and choices in life without understanding the consequences of those choices, and this usually results in short-term thinking that causes long-term problems. Verse number 4. True humility and the fear of the Lord lead to riches, honor, and long life. When you are wise, you will also be humble and respect the Lord who created you. When you are this, then your choices that you make in life will be good and will result in good outcomes such as wealth, respect, and longevity of life. Verse number 5. Corrupt people walk a thorny, treacherous road. Whoever values life will avoid it. When a person's mind becomes wicked, their entire life will reflect this. Their trails of life will be filled with problems. Their walk will be dangerous. It is quite different with those of integrity who will avoid the same dangerous trails. Verse number 6. Direct your children onto the right path, and when they are older, they will not leave it. As with all of Proverbs, they are not meant to be guarantee of results, but general guidelines. This certainly applies to our children. If we teach them God's words and His principles, when they are adults making their own decisions, they will be guided by those precepts. Verse number 7. Just as the rich rule the poor, so the borrower is a servant to the lender. This proverb is so true and relatable to most people throughout the world. When you are indebted to another person, especially monetarily, you must comply with their demand or suffer the consequences. If you are able to become debt-free, you have many more choices in life, and you are less apt to be controlled by others. Verse number 8. Those who plant injustice will harvest disaster, and their reign of terror will come to an end. The laws of planting and harvesting affect all areas of life, and we must know and learn this law well. If you plant injustice, you will produce a harvest of disaster. You will always harvest what you plant, and it will be in abundance. It is a law that will never change. Verse number 9. Blessed are those who are generous, because they feed the poor. God encourages us to be generous and willing to give to those who are less fortunate or in distress. His blessings do reside on those who help others. One of those blessings are the lessons that are learned by those who are giving. Verse number 10, throw out the mocker and fighting goes too. Quarrels and insults will disappear. When you get rid of a person who is constantly stirring up problems in any organization, then the infightings, quarrels, and insults will leave with that person. If it is all possible, you should distance yourself from anyone who causes problems. Verse number 11, whoever loves a pure heart and gracious speech will have a king as a friend. If you treat others with kindness and compassion, you will attract many friends, even those who are in places of authority. There is never a good reason to treat others harshly, even if you are treated harshly at times. Verse number 12, the Lord preserves those with knowledge, but he ruins the plans of the treacherous. Wisdom, insight, understanding, and knowledge are gained by following God's precepts. When we seek it earnestly, then God preserves us as we make wise choices. On the other hand, he will not preserve the plans of those who reject his precepts. Verse number 13, a lazy person claims, there is a lion out there. If I go outside, I might be killed. People who are lazy will come up with any excuses, regardless of how silly, to get out of their responsibilities. This verse is sort of a funny example of how far a lazy person may stretch their story. Verse number 14, the mouth of the immoral woman is a dangerous trap. Those who make the Lord angry will fall into it. Certainly, women with immoral intents know how to play simple men to achieve what they desire. A man who rejects God's principle of love and marriage will fall into her trap. Men need to stand for what is good and right regardless. Verse number 15, a youngster's heart is filled with foolishness, but physical discipline will drive it away. Children, by their very nature, must be taught to be wise and good. Otherwise, they will be filled with childish foolishness. Discipline is needed to train a child to become wise. If they are not trained when they are young, they will become old fools. And verse number 16. A person who gets ahead by oppressing the poor or by showering gifts on the rich will end in poverty. How prevalent we see this in today's world, but I suspect it's always been this way. The laws of planting and harvesting once again show us that if you oppress those who are less fortunate or curry favor with those who are rich by giving them gifts or bribes, eventually it will turn back on you. The nuggets of wisdom that we have gathered in verses 1 through 16 of Proverbs chapter 22 provide more tasty morsels of wisdom, insight, and understanding. Regardless of where you are in your faith walk, if the precepts of Proverbs are followed, your life will be rich and satisfying. Take them and plant them in your heart so that you'll reap a harvest of goodness, where we will discover an inspirational wisdom quote. So encourage your family and friends to join us and then come along with us tomorrow for another day of Wisdom Trek, creating a legacy. Now we'll finish our trek for today. Just as you enjoy these daily doses of wisdom, we ask you to help us to grow Wisdom Trek by sharing it with your family and friends through email, Facebook, Twitter, or in person when you meet with them, and invite them to come along with us each day. I would challenge you today to take just one precept that you learned from Proverbs and commit yourself to applying it in your life. The journal for today's trek is available at wisdom-trek.com, and thank you so much for allowing me to be your guide, your mentor, but most importantly, I am your friend, as I serve you through the Wisdom Trek podcast and journal each day. And as we take this trek of life together, let us always live abundantly, love unconditionally, listen intentionally, learn continuously, lend to others generously, lead with integrity, and then leave a living legacy each day. This is Guthrie Chamberlain, reminding you to keep moving forward, enjoy your journey, and then create a great day every day. See you tomorrow.